Welcome to Knittings and Sewings, episode 18. This is a podcast where we talk about all things knitting, sewing, spinning, weaving, crochet, dyeing, and anything else fiber-wise, craft-wise I happen to get up to. And we are here tonight with my little dog Walter, who's getting a little bit sleepy at this point in the day. He has on his little zombie Halloween vest, and I don't know if you can see it right now. Maybe he'll wake up in a little bit here and show you. But I'm wearing my Killer Queen shawl, which is a crocheted shawl that I finished recently, and now I'm wearing it like I promised this time. I'm wearing it today over my shoulders, but there's several different ways that you can wear it, and I've been really happy with it. You want to show everybody your sweater? This is not one I knit, but he's kind of hard on sweaters. I have knit and crocheted him sweaters before, and oftentimes he's kind of hard on them, so I just have started buying his sweaters. So poor thing. This is one that I bought from Chewy a couple of years ago. So it's a zombie sweater, and he looks really cute in his little Halloween sweater. So I wanted to show you that. Right, Wally? You wanted to show him your sweater too. Anyway, we are back tonight. The last time we were here has been a while. It was back just as I was trying to figure out what to do about Clue 1 on the Stephen West Mystery Knit-Along, Geogradient. And so at the time that we recorded that last podcast, I wasn't sure quite what I was going to do and which version I was going to go with of Clue 1. But I did reach the decision. And so I want to warn any of you who are still avoiding spoilers for any reason. I'm going to show you a spoiler of Clue 1 now, because I am very much finally at the point of having finished Clue 1, or nearly so. I'm on the final ridge, circle, or square, the final color, which is going to be teal. And so I have like 6 rows left to finish up Clue 1, which I'm going to plan on doing later this evening before I go to bed. But I was so excited to finally have finished it that I did want to show you how it's going so far. So those of you who do not want a spoiler, I'm only spoiling you on Clue 1, which hopefully everyone is finished with by now. I'm truly a snail. I'm going at a snail's pace on this mystery knit-along. And I imagine I will continue to go at a very slow pace. But now, you've had your warning. So if you don't want to see the Clue 1, look away now. Avert your eyes, because now is the time. I'm going to show you where I'm at. Okay, I did go with the 1970s colors, as I had told you last time. And it's kind of hard, it's showing kind of hard to see the colors through the light here. But I am going very much with the 1970s colors. In the center, I have a little flower that I put in. I liked a little flower. And then my A, B, C, and D colors are going to be, the harvest gold, the avocado, the rust, and the fuchsia. But I also added some happy colors, you'll notice, in the very center and on the outer edges. There's going to be one final outer edge here that's going to be the teal that you see here. It's going to be that one more stripe. But other than that, it is finished. It's like 14 inches wide and 14 inches long, so it's right on gauge. And from here on out, I'm going to be going to Clue 2 and 3. Well, 2. First Clue 2. But this took me almost like 9 days, because I started it on October 12th, and we're now at September 23rd. But I really am liking my colors. And what I had decided was, I had struggled so much with this center cast on. I had a little bit of mental resistance to that, to be honest, because it's not because I wasn't willing to switch gears and do the Clue, I was, but I find a real resistance to using the magic loop. And as many of you know who have done version 3 of Clue 1, he has you start off with 8 stitches in the very center and to do the magic loop and work your way out. And so those first 8 stitches and the first few rows that you go as you get started are very, very fiddly. And that whole first little square, inner square, I must have done, I bet you I did it 20 times, if not 3. I did it over and over again, and I kept losing the stitches. I kept losing the stitch markers. It was just so annoying. I bet I spent at least 3 hours just getting started on that initial little square. And I admit that once I finally got that square finished and got it going, from there on out, it was easier. But still, I have the reluctance toward the magic loop. I don't knit my socks on a magic loop. I don't knit my sleeves on a magic loop. I either use, flexi flips or socks on 2 circs or double pointed needles. I'll use almost any method except magic loop. So that reluctance or resistance really made the beginning part of this square rather challenging. But I decided, okay, I'm going to overcome this resistance. I've got to get it started, and then I'll be okay. So I started with this center little square, which looks kind of lime here, but it's a color that is actually a New York. There's a brand called New York, or a colorway, or not a colorway, a brand called New York. And this colorway is called Toucan, like the toucan bird. Toucan do it. Like you can do it. So Toucan do it. So that, when I saw that in the yarn shop, I thought I have got to start with that, because not only is it a brilliantly happy color, it really goes with the 70s theme that I have in my other colors. And I just wanted to start with something that would help me overcome my resistance to the whole redo effort. So I did make the little first square out of that color. And then the second color here, the pinky orange, is one from my stash called Flamingo. And that's a Southern Skeins sock club, one of my socks, sock club skeins. And then the third color out is another one to tie together that is called London. And it is a DK weight yarn out of my stash. So it made the initial inner square a little bit puckery, so I didn't use it there on out. But I have about 8 colors involved now. Instead of the 4, I have about 8 colors. But I really like it. I think it does look very 1970s, which was my goal. And I feel like it's a very happy square. And, hopefully it will, from here on out, be a real pleasure to work on. I am excited to be finally moving on to Clue 2. The mohair that I'm going to be using for Clue 2, I won't use all these. I'm probably going to use the gold and the rust to go with the A and C colors. We'll see. But I do have some mohair that I can throw in as a mohair dare. I'm excited about that. And just excited to finally be progressing beyond this Clue 1. This evening, I am drinking my Bones coffee out of my Halloween mug. And I forgot the name of this, but it's a delicious coffee. I'll put the name up. Bob will put up the name of it. I love Bones coffee, and they have some wonderful Halloween and Christmas flavors that are just delicious. So this one, I don't know. It tastes like it has hazelnut in it. I'm not really sure, but it's really good, really good. So I will put the name up because I really enjoy their coffees. So hopefully your shawl is progressing if you are doing the make along. If you're not, then you can watch vicariously as I go through it, as well as many other people that you probably are watching go through the process of doing the Stephen West knit along. But I do think that I'm going to take my own pace and really embrace my pace this time. And so that's I'm going to not worry about the fact that I'm going to be very, very behind in this. If I can finish this shawl by the end of the year, honestly, I'll be happy. So just to let you know, you won't be looking to me to be the guiding post for other people to follow. I'm going to definitely be following behind. But I will definitely enjoy seeing how other people carry out the clues. And this way, since I am so far behind, there's not the danger of me spoiling you by showing you my progress ahead of time. So we'll look on the bright side with that. This time I want to talk to you about a book that I read was set in the 1970s. It's a Kristin Hannah book, and it is called The Great Alone. The Great Alone by Kristin Hannah. It's not a brand new book. This book has been out, I think, since around 2015. But it's a book that I discovered when I purposely was looking for novels I could read that were set in the 1970s. Because of this whole MKAL theme and being a 70s type MKAL, I wanted to read some books set during that time. So this one fit the bill quite nicely. Kristin Hannah is a great best-selling author. And this time what's interesting is she wrote it almost semi-autobiographical in the sense that she grew up, I heard an interview where she's talked about the fact that she grew up in the 1970s as a teenager in Alaska, much like her character Lenny did in the book. However, in this book, I will tell you, I want to give a trigger alert for those of you who are hesitant to read or hear about domestic violence. Please do pause on this and go to where we will mark the end of this discussion in case it does bother any of you. But Kristin Hannah wrote this book, and she really did live up in Alaska during the 1970s as a teenager with her family. And her father, though, unlike the character in the book, her father, I don't believe, was an alcoholic, which is the father is in this book. He is also a veteran from the Vietnam War, so he suffers from PTSD and alcoholism. And her mother, she's an only child, the character in the book, her mother is kind of an enabler type, codependent. So this is a classic story. And for myself, having grown up with an alcoholic father, I was very fortunate that my mother did leave and was able to leave and protect our family by getting out. But in the case of this novel, the heroine Lenny goes through a lot of, her and her mother go through a lot of abuse in the situation. And so unfortunately, it is a part of the book. But the book is just riveting. To me, it's totally engrossing and enthralling. It's a long book. I listened to it on an audio book, and I also had a hard copy as I read because I just couldn't put it down. I mean, I started reading this thing, and from almost the first page, it drew me in. I could not put it down. It was an emotional roller coaster ride. But I will tell you, I'm not going to give you any spoiler on the end of the book, but I will tell you it ends well. It ends happily. So you don't have to worry that it's going to be a totally depressing book. It does end well. There's huge character development all the way through it. And the relationship between Lenny, the little girl in the book, the teenager, and her mother is just remarkable. And it's really interesting that Kristin Hannah herself lost her mother at an early age. And so this is, from what I heard in the interview, this is a kind of a fantasy of the relationship she would have loved to have had with a mother. The closeness that existed between Lenny and her mother is really moving. And it's just, the whole book is a beautifully written book, very emotional and just absorbing. I was honestly, even though I have lived through a pretty upsetting childhood myself, I felt this book was actually cathartic and very healing for me. I was surprised at what I felt while I was reading it was really a pride in my mother having the strength to get out of the situation and to save our family. And so I really felt a new admiration, even a deeper admiration for my own mother. And just for me, it was a healing experience. And the character of the Alaska itself in this book is just like another character. I mean, it's the land itself, Alaska, and it's a fictional town, I believe. But the Alaskan ruggedness and ruthlessness is a character all in itself. And so many times in the 70s, homesteaders came up there with the intent of trying to live there. And many of them failed because you just get a sense of this is the 70s in Alaska. You get a real sense of everything from, the characters who live there, the time period, the setting, a time when there wasn't cell phones and where technology did not get in the way of human relationships. And you really get a sense of the community there and how they stand together and support each other through a lot of the horrible times in the winter that you really need your community to get by in such a rugged setting. They lived in a cabin that had an outhouse. They didn't even have indoor plumbing. So Lenny, the character in the book, goes through such an adventure by living up there, and she truly becomes an Alaskan herself in the process of learning many of the skills that you need to not only survive but thrive in such a rugged environment. So I really love the book. I would highly recommend it to anyone who likes that type of setting. I've always had a fantasy of living in Alaska. I've never even visited there, unfortunately. But I felt by visiting through Kristin Hannah's eyes, I was able to get a really good glimpse of what it might have been like in that time period. Back when many people came up to Alaska during the pipeline development to make a good living up there, and many of the people were running or hiding or trying to start a new life for themselves. And like the characters in this book, they were trying to start a new life after the Vietnam War. So I really felt it was a book that many readers who like deep emotional books would like. And if you have read Kristin Hannah before, you know that she can take you on an emotional journey that can be intense. So it is intense, but it has a great ending. And I just am so glad. I've thought about it so many times since finishing it a couple of weeks ago that I would definitely recommend it for many of you. Okay, so hopefully that is a book that you might take a look at. Another thing that you might want to watch, if you want something lighter and fun with that 70s mindset, there is a series on TV that I really enjoyed watching. It's on Amazon Prime. It's called Daisy Jones and the Six. It is featuring Riley Keough, who is Elvis Presley's granddaughter. And she's also Lisa Presley's daughter. She did a phenomenal job with this series called Daisy Jones and the Six. And I think it is like several episodes, maybe 6 episodes. It's not a whole series. It's just a limited series. But if you have not seen that yet, it kind of echoes closely a band that is in the 70s, and it's kind of mimicking closely Fleetwood Mac. And I think I heard that even Fleetwood Mac, Stevie Nicks, enjoyed the series. So it definitely closely mimics her life, or that kind of love story that occurred during the Fleetwood Mac years. And almost every teenage boy I knew when I was growing up had a crush on one of 3 people: Stevie Nicks, Marcia from the Brady Bunch, or Valerie Bertinelli, the character on that show. There were those 3 people were ones that every teenage boy seemed to have a crush on. And so the Daisy Jones and the Six is really a well-done series short series again. It just goes on for maybe, 4 to 6 episodes, I'm not sure. But if you go to Amazon Prime, you can find out, how to watch it. And if you have that Prime, then you can watch it and enjoy it. I think you really would like it. And that is also set in the 70s. And Riley Keough just does an amazing job as one of the main characters in that show. So I think you would like it. And so if you're busy knitting and trying to, watch some shows while you knit your way through, that is another really good one that you might want to see. There's a new series that I've just started watching called The Irrational, and it is excellent. I think it's on Paramount, but I'll take a look at that and put up a picture of where you can view that. I just have seen one episode so far, and I think there may be 3 released already. But that is a fascinating, fascinating series that is based on a professor, and he's like a criminal anthropologist, I believe. He uses the psychiatric knowledge of behavior patterns and so forth. And it's really interesting. The first one of the series was focusing on how our memories can be deceptive. And that was really fascinating. So I think that series is one that I will definitely want to keep watching, and you might want to tune in also. It is not set in the 70s, but it is an excellent series that I've really been enjoying. So hopefully those entertainment suggestions will be of value to you. And so, you might look into any of those for ideas of what to do while you're knitting on the make-along, or while you're crocheting your favorite project, or whatever it is that you're getting up to these days. Please let me know how things are going for you. Are you still doing the knit-along? What options have you taken? What colors are you using? If you're not doing the make-along or you've dropped out of it, let me know what you are doing. You can always write in the comments below to let me know any of those things. Or you can also write me, if you want to write me an email, you can write me at knittings, plural, knittings and sewings at yahoo.com. And I'm also available on Ravelry as Shelley C, Chellec. That's what I am on Ravelry. So you could also, check me over there on Ravelry. But at any rate, I would love to hear from you either in the comments or in an email, if that's what you prefer. If you want to show me a picture of what you're doing with your knit-along, that's wonderful. And one thing I want to say, too, on the knit-along, one person mentioned that I thought it was a really good idea. She was saying that she had stopped doing the knit-along, but she was going to turn her square into a pillow cover. And someone else last year, I remember, when the make-along was the twists and turns, someone decided they didn't like the way the shawl was going, and they turned their initial, that Jacob's ladder that was at the beginning part, the Clue 1, they turned theirs into like a cuff around their neck, and it looked really cute. So just remember that if you decide to persevere and go through the whole Clue, that's wonderful. The whole shawl. But also, even if you decide for some reason one of your clues isn't working out, or maybe you made Clue 1 and then you switched to Clue version 3 of Clue 1, you can still make use of those squares that you made to do something else with. So don't forget about that. All is not lost. You didn't necessarily have to rip it out if you have enough yarn. Some people added a 5th skein of yarn, so that, and with me, as you know, I added several. Why go small? With me, I go big or go home. So I ended up adding 3 extra yarns into the mix. And because I had those extra yarns I was telling you about. So I've really gone all out with my 70s theme. And, I'm going to show it once again. So close your eyes if you don't want to see it, but I think most of you. So again, I am really happy with these colors. I'm really happy to be finished with this Clue 1, and I'm loving the colors. I'm finally really happy over it. We used to have, in the 70s, the smiley face. I'm finally at the point, you guys, I'm no longer stressed out. I'm actually happy now at how this square is turning out. Now, the last thing we're going to do today is I want to introduce you to a new series we're going to have over the next few weeks, through the end of the year, in fact. We're going to have till Christmas. I know not everybody celebrates Christmas, but whatever the holiday is, that if you do any gift giving, for me it's Christmas, but whatever your holiday is, a lot of times gift giving is involved. And so we're going to have a making series here at the end of every episode from now until Christmas or the end of the year, where I'm going to show you some inexpensive and quick gift making ideas. Because I want to tell you something. I am the world's slowest knitter, crocheter, spinner. I don't do my crafts quickly. And I have very little free time in my life to do them, unfortunately. So I am always looking for the last minute gift. I give to a limited number of people. I don't have a huge number of relatives anymore. In my family, we're all kind of aging. And so I don't have any little grandkids or any younger people to make things for. So for me, I do have a limited number of gifts I make, but I do like to make them. I enjoy that little making that comes in the fall to give away to those I care about. And so, and a lot of the times I don't like buying gifts. I don't have, the budget to do that. And honestly, most of the people that I'm giving to have mostly what they need. And so this is just an expression of love, some little something to give them during the holidays. So for me, I want a gift idea that is quick to make, easy to execute, and can be put together very quickly. And I tend to make gifts that I can make for multiple people. It'll be practical gifts. I have a real practical bent in my personality. And so the first gift that I'm going to be showing you today is going to be how to make dryer balls. And at the end of every session, like I said, for the next few podcasts, I'm going to feature an idea that you could do fairly quickly. And this particular one, I have to say, will be more easily done for those who are spinners, because what you need to do, this project, which I'll be telling you about in just a moment, is it is going to require some kind of wool roving. Let's tune in now to me making dryer balls. And don't worry, I didn't record the entire episode just straight. Bob, our wonderful editor, my husband, has helped us by speeding up the process a bit. But hopefully you will enjoy seeing how we go about making dryer balls. If you don't care to see this, if this is not something that you want to make, then you can just sign off from here. But otherwise, let's go make dryer balls. Today, we're making dryer balls as gifts. These make excellent gifts, and this is about the size you want to make, about a tennis ball size, ideally. It gets wrinkles out of your clothing. It spreads humidity throughout the dryer, so it gets wrinkles out, the static cling out. It saves 25%, I've heard, on drying time. So it's a really nice gift. I usually give them at about 4 at a time to anyone. Is about a dryer load to work in your dryer. So let's get started. What are we going to need? First, we're going to need some kind of wool. It needs to be real wool. I happen to have, about a pound of wool here that I bought at Paradise Fiber online. I think actually you can also buy these on any Etsy store or online, but if you're not a spinner, you may want to purchase some. This is the easiest way to get started. Also, if you are a spinner or have access to raw fleece, I did wash this first. This is washed fleece, but this can actually be, if you're a spinner, what you don't use in your actual spinning. This can be the discarded fleece, but you want to make sure it's clean. But those are the two quick methods of getting wool. You also, as a spinner, might have some wool that is older, you've dyed, and maybe partially felted like this. Any of these things are good. And then if you have a bat, if you've ever made or had leftover some batting material, it makes an excellent addition as well. So let's get started. First, let's start with our wool. It helps to have a little felting tool. It's not essential, but this helps kind of tamp it all down. And then a little styrofoam pad to do the beginning part of the winding on the ball. And then you also will need either a lady's stocking, like knee-high. These are old-fashioned hosiery that women used to wear. Back in my day, we wore them to work every day. Thank goodness we don't have to anymore. You can either use the pantyhose type. I already cut one leg off this, but either the pantyhose or the knee-high will work just great. This is one of the hardest things is to find these. But I think they may still sell them at the dollar store. Okay, so now we're going to get started. We're just going to start by kind of winding some wool. And if you don't have a felting tool, don't worry about it. These will stick together in the hosiery even if you don't have this. This just makes it easier for me. Now I'm going to take some of this. This is just old roving that is felted. So I can't really spin with it very easily. This is raw fleece. This is the fleece that's left over, the trash from my spinning. And I'm not even going to use felting with this. I'm just going to wrap it around with some other roving. And now I'm going to take some yarn, wool yarn, just add a final tie here. Number 2. Now I'm going to take a little one that I made last time, and it was a little too small for my liking. I can still use this. It will felt. By adding more felt to it, it will make a ball as big as this and be perfectly usable. This. I'm going to take the 3 balls we just made. Put them, I'm going to put this one first because it's the biggest. Put it to the bottom of the hosiery. One, and tie it. Tie it here so they're separate. Three. These 3 will go in the wash for 2 washings and 2 dryings. And how you want them to end up is felted like this, pretty solid. So however many washings it takes. Now we're going to take some I made the other day, and I'm going to show you quickly how to cut them apart once they're done. Cut the end, and pull it out. That's it. That's how you make dryer balls. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that little mini tutorial on how to make the dryer balls. If you didn't get fully how to do it based on that tutorial, then I will be linking to another tutorial done by somebody who steps you through the whole process more slowly and thoroughly, because I know it's hard to just see based on a real quick zippy tutorial like that. But I will have a link below so that you can see a more detailed version of how you might go about doing that. But hopefully you enjoyed that. And like I said, next time we will have another inexpensive, fun, quick, and easy gift that you can make. So hopefully that next one will be of interest as well. Until next time, I want to thank you again for joining me, and I hope you'll come back again. Hopefully by next time I will be well on my way into Clue 2 or perhaps finished. And until then, I wish you a lot of happy knitting, spinning, weaving, whatever it is you do. I hope you enjoy it. And as I always say, love what you're making and wear what you make.